Well, good hello to you. You've reached the Newport Show. I'm your host, Alexander T. Newport, your philobabble extraordinaire. It is the 19th of November, 2019. This is a video about worry and no control. That's good coffee. Ah, yes, well, worry and no control. Isn't that what worry's all about? Fretting over something that's out of your motherfucking control? You got a child. The child's gonna spend the night somewhere. You're worried. You're fretting over, ooh, that child's gonna be out of my control. It's gonna be out of my view, out of my sight. I won't be able to protect it. Or anything in this life, really. That's out of your control and you fret about it. That's called worry. But the very fact that you're fretting about something that you can't control, I would say that you can't even control your fretting. So instead of beating yourself up or thinking bad things about yourself, which you're probably going to do anyways, but you can always throw in the new thought that, hey, I can't control this shit. I'm here for the fucking adventure. I'm here for the ups and downs, the twists and turns. As much as I hate the bad moments, god damn it, well, I've been through 10 zillion of them. I always seem to get through them. Even if I'm convinced I'm not going to get through them much longer, I still get through them. I mean, pretty much when you get into any kind of situation where you feel a frustration or you feel a fretting or a worry, I think as you get older, there's less and less time between that and realizing I just have to surrender. I just have to say, oh well, if the worst happens, it happens. Plenty of worse things have happened in the past. Plenty of bad things have happened, and we got through them somehow, some way. I mean, I remember for years and years growing up with the idea that a root canal was something so horrible that it was like the equivalent of childbirth, And when it came time for me to have a root canal, it was nothing. There was no pain. Those people had been full of shit, or they just had a bad experience. Remember those little words at the bottom of the screen on a lot of advertisements, on a lot of commercials that says, your results may vary. Speaking of which, I had a dream the other night. It was a dream that lasted about 2 seconds. But I suddenly found myself in front of about 4 dudes, and all of their faces were all next to each other, and they were all facing me. They were all face to face, looking at me, and I was sort of like huddled into them, and I said, we all have these individual, unique configuration of details, but we're all the same fucking consciousness. We're all the same type of consciousness experiencing these little unique stories of unique details, You'll go through your life and you'll, when you're younger perhaps, you'll have these various ideas that there's things you shouldn't be experiencing. There's things that you should be avoiding. And so you'll read books or you'll listen to audio recordings of people talking about how to avoid something, how to protect yourself from something, how to prevent yourself from something. And I'm speaking mostly psychologically rather than physically. But as time goes by, you realize that all these things are sort of the equivalent of a drug or a new food. They seem to be effective or helpful or miraculous for a little while, and then the novelty wears off. The effects wear off. And you're off to the next book. You're off to the next self-help author. You're off to the next guru of anger management or what have you, And you'll notice that, it's just this human life. It's just a story that unfolds, and it does so automatically. And things that pop into your life and pop into your mind, it's all happening automatically. So when it comes to worry, you just have to worry. Just as you get older, you'll have the attendant thought along with that worry that I've worried a million times. The worry, it doesn't produce anything good. And there's been plenty of times in life when we've worried about something happening and it happened, even though we worried about it. You'll notice that sometimes when you're worried, you think that if you stopped worrying, that somehow you would lose protection. I gotta worry about it, because you think that worrying and caring are the same things. What's caring? I think caring is just being able to respond should something bad happens, whereas worry is hoping that it doesn't happen, and you're using that worry, or it seems you're using that worry to protect it, to protect something bad from happening. But as I say, there's been times in your life when you worried about something bad happening, and it happened anyways, regardless of your fucking worry. So you realize, as I say, when you get older, that the worry is just still part of the unfolding and the unfurling. It's just part of the story. You're not really making a mistake by worrying, and you're not really in control of it. All of this, all of these thoughts, all of these feelings, they unfold and unfurl automatically, moment by moment. You're not making them happen. And though it seems like there's times when a panicky thought will rise, and you'll just do jujitsu on it, surrender to it or whatever, and it dissolves, and you're back to being peaceful. I'm convinced that we're supposed to have the illusion and the sense that what we think and do matters, but as far as I can tell, that's just an illusion. And you can't stop yourself one way or another. So the reason why there's no control is because you're involved on a ride that's already been programmed. It's already been determined by you before the Big Bang. You are the eternal consciousness. Even though you're convinced that you are only this human consciousness, you're only experiencing this human consciousness. The only thing that could experience a temporary consciousness is an eternal consciousness. So, if it's been predetermined, if it's been thought out beforehand, before the Big Bang, then it's like a script. It's like a program. And whereas we human beings can script to the tiniest details a movie and star in it and direct it and produce it and all that, when we sit back to experience that movie, we're sitting and we're observing. But as infinite, intelligent, eternal, thinking, feeling entities, we can do even better than that. We can script down to the tiniest detail in collaboration and collusion with everyone else that's going to be in that movie with us. And instead of observing our work when we're finished creating it, we actually get to experience the movie. I mean, just imagine that you as a human being wrote, script, directed, starred in a film, and instead of just sitting on the couch watching the film that you made, you were actually able to be inside of it and go along for a ride in one of the characters. That's what's happening here. We thought it all out before the Big Bang, all the details, and instead of just being a passive observer, we get to have the experience of experiencing the movie unfold and unfurl moment by moment. So any sense of control is merely an illusion. The control was before the Big Bang. The control and the free will was in designing this experience. Once you've designed it, and remember, we live in the middle of forever as eternal consciousness. You know, we spent a long time planning out this dream world, this dream self, this human life, this human destiny. We spent a long fucking time, far longer than it'll take to live out. And since we spent so much time working it out, as I said, in collusion and collaboration with those who are in the movie with us, well, you can't leave things to chance. You can't have something called free will within the movie. Because if anyone had free will within the movie, well, what's to stop them from going off script? Well, what's to stop someone from killing themselves who was supposed to, killing themselves at 32 and they were supposed to live to 97? They had a story with lots of other people all the way up until their age of 97. Now that they've killed themselves at 32, well, what happens to all the stories that they had already scripted with all those other people? So it's simply, logically and reasonably, the spiritual movie, it can't involve any kind of free will. It can't involve any kind of chance or luck. There can't be any mistakes. There can't be any accidents. There can't be any divine intervention. It's a fixed script. It's a fixed film. It's a fixed fight. It's a fixed dance. It's a fixed ride. But obviously we're meant to have the illusion, the convincing experience that this is not a movie. That this, in fact, is the only life we've ever had as a thinking, feeling entity. It's the only life we've ever had. It looks like, when you're dead, wow, that's it. You're not going to be alive anymore. You're not going to think and feel anymore. That's the experience that we wanted. Because it makes a change to our home state of awareness, which is the same old spiritual sanity and sobriety that never, ever, ever changes. So, you have the experience that you're in control here, or that you're sometimes in control, and that's the way it's meant to be. As I said, the majority of people here in this human world do not have anything in their script where they realize this is a dream. Because the whole primary motivation for having this dream in the first place was to forget reality, heaven, to forget the truth that we are perfect eternal conscious energy. Why would you want to forget the truth? Well, because it's boring after a while, if that's all you fucking know, if that's all you're fucking aware of. Look at the room that you're in at the moment, or the car that you're in, or wherever the fuck you are. Look around it. Now, imagine being stuck there, in that space, with that stuff on the wall and so forth, forever. And like I said, you got, maybe one record, one tape, one CD, one MP3 file, and it plays the same song or same bunch of songs over and over, and that's it. You don't get any new songs. You don't get any new room. You don't get any new walls. You don't get anything new to look at. Imagine being in that forever and ever and ever. Because, as I say, your reality, your home state of awareness, of spiritual sanity and sobriety, it never changes. Why is that? Because you never change as a spirit. You've always been the same way that you are and that you always will be. And you are a unique configuration of details as a perfect spirit. But as a spirit, you're anything that you can think or do, so can any other spirit. And because all of you have always been alive, there's obviously no way to threaten your existence. There's no way to threaten each other's existence. So there's no fear in our home state of awareness. The home state of awareness and we ourselves as perfect eternal conscious energy are one and the same. I know that's hard to get your head around, but that's the way it is. And so a conscious experience of something that never fucking changes, on the one hand, can be very boring. On the other hand, it's very reassuring to know that my reality heaven is never going to change. I as a spirit am never going to change. Therefore, I can have an experience where I get, so to speak, lost and completely forget my reality heaven and completely forget the truth that I am perfect eternal conscious energy. I can be ballsy enough to do that because I know without a doubt that when that experience is over, that I will return to my home state of awareness and see that it has not changed. I will return to my full awareness of myself as perfect eternal conscious energy and note that I haven't changed. I'm the same eternal consciousness that I've ever been. As I said in other videos, as I enjoy saying, I know that there's two very strong things that people don't like. They don't like the idea that reality heaven could be boring, but I think I just explained it to you. Reality heaven never changes. So whether you picture reality heaven as some kind of spiritual earth world looking place with trees and valleys and rivers and people and animals, or whether you imagine it as something else, the fact of the matter is, just imagine that never changing. Never, ever, ever, ever changing. That gets boring. So you would, being infinitely intelligent, you would have an imagination and you would be able to imagine a dream world, a spiritual movie where you get to temporarily forget the truth, forget reality heaven. And the majority of the people that are here, that's what they're here for, to completely forget. And I haven't remembered. It's just that any subject that you think about and study a lot more than most, you just happen to get better and better at it. And using logic and reason, you're able to do things. You're able to boil things down. You scrutinize and scrutinize and scrutinize until there's just nothing left to scrutinize, until you end up with answers that withstand any kind of scrutiny. And as I said in an earlier video, it's far more liberating to play around with the idea that you are perfect eternal conscious energy and that you scripted this life of hellishness for yourself than to hold on to the idea that someone or something else created this life for you. That sounds horrid. Ugh. I don't want nobody or nothing fucking creating a world or a life for me. And people find it very hard to believe that they would put all the bad things that they've experienced in this life, they find it hard to believe that they would have done that to themselves. But as I point out, if you're infinitely intelligent and you know you're eternal, you know you're indestructible, unthreatenable, then you simply are a ballsy, fearless motherfucker, and you are not afraid to put yourself through painful, horrible, temporary experiences, such as this human hellhole that we're in now. And calling it a hellhole, doesn't take away from the precious moments, the sweet moments. But all the sweet moments and precious moments and lovely moments are a stark contrast to the pain and misery and suffering. And by my reckoning and by my observation, after 55 years here on this fucking planet, I don't see an example of anyone who has ever achieved any kind of permanent pain-free happiness in this world. From what I can tell, every single story is unique with its unique individual details, and every single story here has ups and downs, has pain and no pain, pain and no pain, from its conception to its death. No matter how much money anybody has, no matter how pretty, how handsome, how talented, how sweet dispositioned, how giving, how compassionate, how joyful, or how mean and how evil and cold-hearted, doesn't matter. They all have pain and no pain, pain and no pain throughout their entire lives. They have misery and suffering and happiness and peace off and on throughout their entire lives. Absolutely no one has so-called achieved some kind of pain-free happiness. No one has accomplished this, that, or whatever, and then from then on had a happy, pain-free dream for the rest of their lives. No one's done it. Not a single person. I would say not a single creature. Obviously, a lot of people that die young, or a lot of things, anyone, persons, plant, vegetable, animal, mammal, whatever, the ones that die young seem to have perhaps less pain. Obviously, the longer you live, the more likely it is that you're going to have a variety of different types of pain. But this is a video about worry and no control, and if you'll notice, even if you believe that you have control, well, what does that mean? There's so many moving parts to this world. There's so many ways that things can go bad, and there's just no way that you can cover all the bases. It's like some giant dam with lots of leaks. There's no way you can plug up all the holes. And so you just surrender, and you just remember that no matter how bad it's been, I've gotten through it. And in fact, really, some of the worst moments were just simply the worry. The worry was worse than the actual bad things that happened anyways, in spite of the fucking worrying. We're here for it all. We're here for the pain, and we're here for our attempts to escape or avoid the pain. It's a story that's unfolding and unfurling. We had all the control and the free will to design the story before the Big Bang. Once the fucking story begins, it's no good leaving anything up to chance, because that could fuck up the story for absolutely everyone. And yeah, there's supposed to be arguments about whether or not there's free will here. Of course there are. Can't you see? It's just a big mess, man. But it's a choreographed mess. So I would say that overall, the gist of this video with regards to worry and no control is that you're going to worry no matter what when it's your time to worry. But because you've heard this video or heard this audio, the next time you're caught up in worrying, you will remember that you've worried 1,000,000 times, and there were times when it did not stop something bad from happening, and you got through the bad thing. You still got through it. You still fucking recovered. Went on to laugh and sing again. And that won't make the worry go away immediately, but somehow it does sort of start to let the air out of the tire, so to speak. It sort of weakens it. But when it's your time to worry, it's your time to worry. And you've done it 1,000,000 times, and you've gotten through it. So I would say that you'll find that the less you try to prevent or avoid anything, the better off it feels in the here and now. Because the bad things, the horrible things, they're already scheduled. They're not the result of some kind of mistake or error or even ignorance. It's all been scheduled. It's all been designed. We are that intelligent as perfect eternal conscious energy to create a dream, a spiritual movie, a ride as magnificently astonishing as this one is. As I said, most people, it won't even occur to them. Whoa. Someone knocked at the door. I'll be back in a moment. Well, out of sight, that was a delivery from the Australian body care. It's a tea tree, eucalyptus, something. It's very nice. Yeah, so if anything, when it comes to worry, this video says be worried. It's our attempts to stop being worried that generally make us even more worried. But if we plant the seed that we've worried 1,000,000 times, and that sometimes the worry failed to prevent something bad from happening, and if we plant the seed that we've worried 1,000,000 times and we've recovered from it, then it sort of diminishes the worry a little bit. But we're here for all these experiences, you see. It's just the commerce, it's the business people, it's the people trying to sell you things to make money that try to promote this idea that there's various ways to prevent feeling bad in one way or another, to prevent some kind of illness or injury or disease. They're in the business to sell you those ideas, and if you grow up with them watching television, because that's mostly what television's all about as far as all the advertisements and commercials, they're all trying to sell you something that's supposedly gonna prevent some kind of pain, diminish some kind of pain, and they get you thinking about that throughout the whole of your existence, the whole of your life. You know, you start to feel geared towards, trying to maintain some kind of ideal existence that is pain-free and problem-free and hassle-free and bullshit-free. And it's like, wait a minute, motherfuckers. That's all this motherfucking story is. It's mostly just fucking bullshit and hassles and disappointments and worries and freakouts and bouts of this, that, or the other. It's made bearable by the nice moments. But there again, there's people trying to sell you things to create a nice moment or to extend a nice moment. And it's like, you know what? This is just all a ride, and you're just going to go through nightmare and paradise, peace and no peace, pain and no pain, all the way automatically from the womb to the grave. And it just feels better admitting that. But I understand as a 55-year-old man that it sounds like poison and toxic waste to someone who's vibrant and young and in their 20s, and they feel like, yes, they can achieve that ideal. We can just insist and will and push our way through and make it happen. I understand that. Righty-ho. Well, I have been your host, Alexander T. Newport, your philobabblist extraordinaire. This has been the Alan Newport Show. This has been a video about worry and no control. And I would say, be cool, fool.